The phone buzzed again, the fourth time in an hour. I didn't need to check the caller ID to know it was Gareth. My fingers hovered over the screen before I finally gave in and answered. Quinn, thank God. I've been trying to reach you all morning. His voice carried that familiar urgency that always preceded a request for money. I'm Quinn Fisher, and I've spent the last decade being my younger brother's personal bank. The irony? I work as an accountant, watching other people's money grow while my own savings account bleeds dry from family emergencies. I'm at work, Gareth. What is it this time? I tried keeping my voice neutral, though my coworkers probably noticed me gripping my coffee mug a little too tightly. It's just, I'm in a bit of a situation. The bank's threatening to repossess the car, and Tatum doesn't know. I need 8 grand by Friday. The mug nearly slipped from my hand. $8,000? Are you kidding me? What happened to the money I lent you last month for the mortgage? Look, things got complicated. Some investments didn't pan out. Investments? I cut him off, my voice rising. You mean gambling? They weren't games of chance, Quinn. I had insider information. Which makes it worse. I massaged my temples, aware of my colleagues, pretending not to listen. Gareth, I can't keep doing this. I'm not made of money. You're single with no kids. Where else does your money go? The entitlement in his voice made my blood boil. Besides, it's what family does. Mom and Dad would have wanted us to look out for each other. The parent card. He always played it when backed into a corner. Don't bring them into this, I warned, standing up and walking to the break room for privacy. They wouldn't have wanted you gambling away your daughter's college fund. So you're not going to help? His tone shifted from pleading to accusatory. Real nice, Quinn. Real nice. You know what? This is why you're alone. You're nothing but a selfish spinster who cares more about her bank balance than her own family. The words hit like a physical blow. Before I could respond, he hung up. My phone buzzed again, this time with a text from Nicole. Lunch? You look like you could use a break. I glanced through the break room window to see my best friend waving from her desk across the office. Working at the same firm had its perks. 20 minutes later, we sat at our usual corner table at Mario's, where Nicole waited patiently for me to spill. $8,000, I finally said, stabbing at my salad. That's what he needs this time. Please tell me you're not considering it. Nicole leaned forward, her fork frozen midway to her mouth. I don't know what to do anymore. He's my brother, Nicole. If I don't help him, Tatum and the kids could end up homeless. And if you do help him, you'll be enabling him. Again. She set down her fork. How much have you given him over the years? I did the mental calculation and felt sick. Close to 90,000. Jesus Christ, Quinn. That's a down payment on a house. I know. I know. I pushed my plate away, appetite gone. But every time I try to say no, he brings up our parents or guilt trips me about being single and childless, like that somehow makes my money less valuable. He called you a selfish spinster, didn't he? Nicole's eyes narrowed at my expression. That little shit. You know what? Let him lose the car. Let him face consequences for once in his life. My phone buzzed again, another text from Gareth. I'm sorry about what I said, but I really need your help. Please don't let me down. The worst part? I showed Nicole the text. He's not sorry about what he said. He's sorry he might not get the money. Then don't give it to him. Nicole reached across the table and squeezed my hand. You're not responsible for his bad decisions. But what about Tatum? The kids? Maybe it's time they knew the truth about their family's finances. Nicole checked her watch. We should head back. But Quinn, promise me you'll at least think about saying no this time. I nodded, but my mind was already racing through possibilities. The lakeside property our parents left us came to mind. Gareth's share was still in my name because he'd been too irresponsible to manage it. Maybe it was time to make some changes. As we walked back to the office, another text came through. I need an answer by tonight. Don't let your family down again. Something inside me snapped. For the first time in years, I felt a strange sense of clarity. Maybe it was time to show my dear brother exactly what letting family down looked like. That evening, I found myself digging through the filing cabinet in my home office, pulling out folders of receipts and bank statements. Each piece of paper told the same story: my brother's endless financial drain on my life. The doorbell rang, making me jump. I opened it to find Carmen, our old family friend and neighbor, holding a casserole dish. Thought you could use some dinner, she said, pushing past me into the kitchen. Nicole called, said you were having a rough day. I managed a weak smile. She shouldn't have bothered you. Nonsense. Carmen started pulling plates from my cupboard like she owned the place. Now sit down and tell me what that brother of yours has done this time. Over Carmen's famous lasagna, I recounted the day's events. She listened quietly, her expression growing darker with each detail. Remember when Gareth first came to you for money? She asked, refilling my wine glass. Right after your parents' funeral? $5,000, I said automatically. He said it was for Tatum's medical bills. And what was it really for? I pushed my food around the plate. Sports betting, I found out 6 months later when his bookie showed up at my door. Carmen set down her fork with a clang, and that time he swore he needed money for his daughter's braces. Poker tournament in Vegas. The memories were flooding back now. Or when he claimed his car was totaled. But it wasn't, was it? No. He'd sold it to cover other debts and needed money for a new one. I took a long sip of wine. God, I've been such an idiot. Not an idiot, Carmen corrected. Just someone who loves her brother too much for her own good. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Gareth. Still waiting for an answer. The bank needs the money by Friday. Carmen read the message over my shoulder and snorted. The bank or his bookie? Does it matter anymore? I stood up and started pacing. He's never going to change, not as long as I'm his safety net. So remove the net. I stopped pacing. What? Remove the net, Carmen repeated. Let him fall. Sometimes hitting rock bottom is the only way people learn to climb. I resumed my pacing, but slower now. He'll hate me. He already takes advantage of you. What's worse? Before I could answer, my heel caught on the corner of an old box, sending papers scattering across the floor. As I bent to collect them, a familiar blue folder caught my eye. The lake house deed, I whispered, pulling it out. Carmen leaned forward. The property your parents left you both? Yes, but I flipped through the documents, my hands shaking. They put it in my name because Gareth was going through his divorce from his first wife. We were supposed to transfer his half once things settled, but you never did, Carmen finished, understanding dawning on her face. I stared at the papers, an idea forming. The property's worth at least 500,000, maybe more now. Enough to cover all his debts, Carmen said slowly. And then some? My phone buzzed again. Quinn, answer me. Don't be selfish. Something cold and hard settled in my chest. You know what's funny? He's never once thanked me. Not really. It's always been about what I owe him, what I should do as family. Carmen watched me carefully. And what do you think you should do? I picked up my phone and opened my contacts, scrolling until I found Dante, the real estate agent who'd helped me buy my condo. Quinn? Carmen's voice held a note of concern. I'm doing what family does, I said, pressing the call button. I'm looking out for him. One last time. Dante answered on the second ring. Quinn, long time no hear. Hi, Dante. Remember that lakefront property I mentioned a while back? I think I'm ready to sell. There was a pause on the other end. The whole property? Both shares? Yes, I said, my voice stronger than I expected. All of it. Well, actually, Dante's voice took on an excited edge. I might have a buyer already interested. Developer's been eyeing that area for months. I caught Carmen's eye, saw her slight nod of approval. Perfect, I said. How quickly can we make this happen? If you're serious, we could have papers drawn up by Friday. Friday? The same day Gareth needed the money. The universe had a sense of humor after all. Let's do it, I said, ignoring the way my hands trembled. Send me the paperwork tomorrow. After hanging up, I finally replied to Gareth's text. Don't worry, I'll have your money by Friday. Carmen stood up, gathering her dishes. You know there's no going back from this, right? I looked at the deed in my hands, thinking of all the summers we'd spent at that lake house as kids, before Gareth learned to manipulate, before I learned to enable. Some bridges, I said quietly, need to burn. The next morning, I met Nicole and her brother Adam at our usual coffee spot before work. I needed level heads to talk me through what I was about to do. You're actually going to sell it? Nicole leaned forward, her cappuccino forgotten. The whole property? Already in motion. I pulled out the preliminary paperwork Dante had emailed. The developer is offering 600,000. Adam whistled low. That's a lot of burning bridges. More like nuclear warfare, Nicole added, scanning the documents. Gareth's going to lose his mind when he finds out. He lost his mind years ago, I said, taking back the papers, along with about 90,000 of my dollars. A text buzzed through. Gareth again. Got the bank breathing down my neck. You said you'd have the money by Friday? I showed them the message. Adam's expression darkened. Does he ever ask how you are? Or is it always about money? Take a wild guess. I typed back a quick working on it before putting my phone away. Have you thought about Tatum? Nicole asked carefully. She has no idea about any of this, does she? The guilt I'd been suppressing bubbled up. No, Gareth's kept her in the dark about everything, the gambling, the debts, the money he's borrowed from me. Then maybe this is the wake up call they both need, Adam said firmly. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is let them face reality. My phone rang. Dante this time. I stepped outside to take the call. Quinn, great news! His voice crackled with excitement. The developer wants to move fast. They're offering cash and they'll cover all closing costs. We could close by Thursday. My heart skipped. Thursday? That's that's tomorrow. Too soon? We can push it back. No, I said quickly. Thursday's perfect. Send me whatever you need signed. Back inside, Nicole and Adam were deep in conversation, but fell silent when I returned. What? I asked, noting their expressions. Adam had an idea, Nicole said slowly, about what to do with the money after paying off Gareth's debts. Adam cleared his throat. You should invest the rest. For your future. No more sacrificing everything for someone who gives nothing back. He's family, I said automatically, then caught myself. God listened to me. Still making excuses. Old habits, Nicole said gently. But maybe it's time for new ones. My phone buzzed again, this time a text from Tatum. Quinn, is everything okay? Gareth's been acting strange, says you're helping with some financial stuff. I showed the others. What do I even say to that? Nothing yet, Adam advised. Let things play out. She needs to hear the truth from her husband, not her sister in law. Speaking of truth, Nicole added, you should probably warn Carmen. She's still their neighbor at the lake house, right? I nodded, already pulling up Carmen's number. She answered immediately. The developer just made an offer, I said without preamble. We're closing tomorrow. A long pause. That fast? Is it too fast? No, she said firmly. Quick and clean, like ripping off a band aid. But Quinn, I saw Tatum at the lake house yesterday. She was talking about their summer plans. My stomach lurched. They don't know they won't have access anymore. No, they don't. Carmen's voice softened. Are you sure about this? Before I could answer, Dante called again. Quinn, the developer's lawyer just sent over the final contracts. I'm emailing them now. Once you sign, there's no going back. I looked at Nicole and Adam, saw their encouraging nods. Send them through, I said, my voice steady. I'll sign them right away. After hanging up, I checked my email. There it was, the document that would change everything. My finger hovered over the download button. You know what this means, right? Adam said quietly. Once you sign, you're not just selling a property, you're forcing Gareth to face every choice he's ever made. And every choice I've enabled him to make, I added, clicking download. Maybe it's time we both faced some hard truths. Nicole squeezed my hand. Want us to stay while you sign? I shook my head. No, this is something I need to do alone. As they left, my phone lit up with one final text from Gareth. Thanks for coming through, sis. I knew I could count on you. I stared at the message, then at the contracts waiting for my signature. With steady hands, I picked up my pen. Sometimes being counted on meant doing the hard thing, not the easy one. You're welcome, little brother, I whispered and began to sign. The closing meeting felt surreal. I sat in Dante's office, watching as the developer's representative slid check after check across the polished conference table. One for the property, one for the furnishings, even one for leaving the boat in the boathouse. Just need your final signature here, Dante said, pointing to the last line. And it's done. My hand trembled slightly as I signed. $625,000. The property had been worth even more than we'd thought. Congratulations, the developer's rep said, standing to shake my hand. We'll begin construction next month. Construction. They were going to tear down our childhood home and build luxury condos. I forced a smile and excused myself, practically running to the bathroom. Nicole was waiting outside, having taken an extended lunch break to be there for moral support. You okay? No, I admitted, splashing water on my face. But I will be. Have you figured out how you're going to tell him? I dried my hands, checking my phone. 3 missed calls from Gareth. I'm not yet. First, I need to fix his mess. We headed straight to the bank where I transferred enough money to cover Gareth's car loan and his mortgage payments. Then to his credit card companies, clearing balance after balance. By late afternoon, I'd paid off every debt I knew about. That's $78,000, I said, staring at the remaining balance in my account. How does someone rack up that much debt without their wife knowing? Practice, Nicole replied dryly. Lots of practice. My phone rang again. Gareth. This time I answered. Quinn, where have you been? The bank's been calling all day about payments hitting my accounts. Did you rob a bank or something? Or something, I said quietly. All your debts are paid. Gareth, every single one. A long pause. How? Does it matter? Isn't this what you wanted? I. Yes, but he sounded confused, almost suspicious. Quinn, where did you get this kind of money? Maybe we should talk about that in person. Tomorrow? No, tell me now. What did you do? I took a deep breath. I sold the lake house. The silence that followed was deafening. Then, you what? I sold it. To developers. They're building condos. You can't. That's not. Half of that property is mine. His voice rose with each word. Actually, no. The deed was in my name. Remember? We never transferred your half after your divorce? Because you said we didn't need to. He was shouting now. You said it didn't matter because we're family. And families are supposed to look out for each other, I said, my voice hardening. Not bleed each other dry. I'm calling my lawyer. Go ahead. The sale's already final. The property's being demolished next month. A crash on his end, something being thrown. You vindictive bitch. Does Tatum know? The kids? We were supposed to spend the summer there. Maybe you should have thought about that before gambling away their college fund. Another crash. I'm coming over. No, you're not. I surprised myself with how calm I sounded. We'll talk tomorrow when you've had time to process this. Process this? Process this? You just sold our family home. And you just lost it, I said quietly. Funny how consequences work, isn't it? I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking, but not from fear. For the first time in years, I felt free. Nicole touched my arm. You okay? No. I laughed, a slightly hysterical sound. But I think I will be. My phone started buzzing with texts. From Tatum. What's going on? Gareth's freaking out about the lake house. From Carmen. He just peeled out of his driveway like a madman. Want me to come over? From Adam. Nicole told me. Stay at our place tonight if you need to. Come on, Nicole said, taking my arm. Let's get you home. Adam's ordering pizza and we're having a sleepover. I should face him. Not tonight, she said firmly. Tonight you need to process what you've done. Tomorrow's soon enough for the fallout. As we drove to her place, I got one final text from Gareth. Hope you're happy. You've destroyed this family. I stared at the message for a long moment before typing back. No, Gareth, you did that all on your own. I just stopped helping you hide it. Then I turned off my phone. Tomorrow would bring what it would bring, but for tonight I'd done what needed to be done. The money was gone, the debts were paid, and the lake house. Well, sometimes you had to burn down the past to build a better future, even if that future came with luxury condos. The pounding on my front door started at 7 a.m. sharp. I'd barely gotten home from Nicole's, hadn't even made coffee yet. Open the damn door, Quinn! Gareth's voice carried through the wood. I know you're in there. I took a deep breath and opened it. Gareth burst in, Tatum right behind him. His eyes were bloodshot, his clothes rumpled like he hadn't slept. Tatum looked shell shocked, clutching her purse like a shield. Tell her, Gareth demanded, gesturing wildly at his wife. Tell her what you did. I met Tatum's confused gaze. I sold the lake house. You had no right. Gareth slammed his fist against my wall. That property was half mine. Was it? I walked to my desk, pulled out a folder. Because these bank statements say otherwise, would you like to explain them to Tatum? Tatum stepped forward hesitantly. What bank statements? Don't, Gareth warned me. No, I think it's time. I handed Tatum the folder. Every loan, every bailout, every time your husband came to me for money over the past 10 years, nearly $90,000 in total. Tatum's hands trembled as she flipped through the pages. This can't be right. We're not we don't have these debts anymore. Gareth cut in, because Quinn sold our family property without consulting anyone. Your gambling debts, I corrected. Your credit card debt, your car loans. Tatum's head snapped up. Gambling? It wasn't gambling, Gareth protested. They were investments. Sports betting is not investing. I pulled out more papers. Neither is poker or online casinos or whatever else you've been hiding from your wife. Tatum sank onto my couch, still clutching the statements. The kids' college fund. You said it was in a special high yield account. Tatum? Gareth started. Did you gamble away our children's future? Her voice was barely a whisper. The silence was answer enough. I paid it all off, I said quietly. Every debt, every loan. He's starting fresh. With money you stole from me, Gareth shouted. Money I protected from you, I shot back. What would you have done with your half, Gareth? Bet it on the next big game? The next sure thing? That's not. Then what was your plan? I stepped closer. Because the bank was about to repossess your car. Your mortgage was 3 months behind. Your credit cards were maxed out. What exactly was your plan? I would have figured something out. Like you always do. Tatum's voice cut through our argument. By going to your sister? By lying to me? She stood up suddenly, swaying slightly. Gareth reached for her, but she jerked away. Don't touch me. She pressed her hand to her forehead. I think I'm going to be. She didn't finish the sentence before her eyes rolled back and she crumpled. Gareth caught her before she hit the floor. Tatum? Baby? He lowered her to the couch, patting her cheeks. Wake up! I was already dialing 911 when her eyes fluttered open. I'm fine, she mumbled, trying to sit up. Just overwhelmed. The paramedics are on their way, I said, hanging up. I said I'm fine. But she looked anything but fine, her face ashen. You're getting checked out, Gareth insisted, his anger temporarily forgotten in concern for his wife. We sat in tense silence until the paramedics arrived. As they checked Tatum's vitals, my phone buzzed with a text from Carmen. Saw the ambulance. Everyone okay? Tatum fainted. I typed back. Being checked now. Low blood pressure, one paramedic announced. Probably stress induced, but we should take her in for observation, just to be safe. As they helped Tatum onto the stretcher, she grabbed my hand. The lake house? It's really gone? I nodded. I'm sorry. I know you loved it there. Not as much as I loved believing my husband was honest with me. She let go, allowing the paramedics to wheel her out. Gareth followed, then turned at the door. This isn't over. Yes, it is. I met his gaze steadily. The money's gone, the property's sold, and your wife finally knows the truth. It's over, Gareth. You just don't know how to stop. You've ruined everything. No, I said softly. I just stopped letting you ruin me. He slammed the door so hard my windows rattled. Through them, I watched the ambulance pull away, Gareth's car following close behind. My phone buzzed again, Nicole this time. Just heard from Adam. Need company? I stared at the scattered papers, the evidence of a decade of enabling, of a lifetime of manipulation. No, I replied. I think I need to be alone right now. Sometimes the aftermath of a storm was quieter than the storm itself, but that didn't make it any less devastating. 3 days after Tatum's collapse, I sat in my garden, pulling weeds with perhaps more force than necessary. My phone had been suspiciously quiet. No calls from Gareth, no texts from Tatum. Just silence. You're going to kill those poor plants. Carmen's voice came from over the fence. She held up a bottle of wine. Need a break? Minutes later, we sat on my patio, the evening sun casting long shadows across the yard. Heard anything? Carmen asked, pouring generous glasses. Radio silence, but the gossip spreading. I took a long sip. My aunt called to tell me I'm heartless. Two cousins unfriended me on Facebook. Even my mother's old bridge club is taking sides. And how are you holding up? Before I could answer, a car pulled into my driveway, Adam's SUV. He got out carrying a manila envelope. Sorry to interrupt, he said, joining us on the patio, but you need to see this. He pulled out a newspaper, our local weekly. There, in the business section, was a photo of the lake house with the headline, Historic Lakefront Property to Become Luxury Development. It's not the article you need to see, Adam said, flipping to the classifieds. Look. There, in the employment section, was a small notice. Position terminated. Gareth Fisher, Senior Account Manager. My stomach dropped. He lost his job. Apparently, the gambling wasn't just personal. Adam said quietly. He was placing bets from his work computer, using company time, company resources. Oh, God. I set down my wine glass before I could drop it. Did they press charges? No, but they're not giving him references either. He's basically unemployable in his field now. Carmen reached for the paper. Does Tatum know? She's staying with her sister, Adam said, taking some time to process everything, according to Nicole. My phone buzzed. Speak of the devil. A text from Tatum. Can we talk? Alone? She wants to meet, I told them, showing the message. Are you going to? Carmen asked. I have to. I typed back a quick response, suggesting a coffee shop downtown. Want backup? Adam offered. I shook my head. This is between us. An hour later, I sat in the coffee shop, watching Tatum approach through the window. She looked tired, older somehow, like the past few days had aged her years. Thanks for meeting me, she said, sliding into the seat across from me. I ordered your usual. We sat in awkward silence until our drinks arrived. I found more statements, she finally said, pulling papers from her bag. Hidden in his golf bag. Credit cards I didn't know existed. Loans from people I've never heard of. Tatum? No, let me finish. She spread the papers on the table. All these years, I thought we were doing well, planning for our future, our kids' futures. But it was all a lie, wasn't it? And you knew. I knew about the money he borrowed from me, I admitted. I didn't know about all this. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me? She stared into her coffee. No, probably not. Another silence fell. He lost his job, she said finally. Did you know? I nodded. Just found out today. He's talking about suing you for the lake house. He won't win. I know. She looked up, her eyes wet. I'm not here about that. I'm here to say thank you. That caught me off guard. What? For forcing the truth out. For making him face consequences. For, she wiped her eyes. For doing what I should have done years ago. Tatum. I'm leaving him, she cut in. Not just staying with my sister, actually leaving. I've already talked to a lawyer. My coffee grew cold between my hands. Are you sure? The kids deserve better than a father who gambles away their future. I deserve better than a husband who lies to my face. She gathered her papers. I just, I thought you should know. And I wanted to apologize. For what? For blaming you. When you sold the lake house, I thought you were being cruel. Now I realize you were being kind. In your own way. She stood to leave, and then paused. He's not the man we thought he was, is he? Either of us? I watched her walk away, thinking of the brother I'd grown up with, the one who used to protect me from schoolyard bullies, who taught me to swim in that lake we'd just sold. My phone buzzed. Gareth again. You've taken everything from me. No, I thought, putting the phone away without responding. You gave it all away, piece by piece, bet by bet. I just stopped pretending I couldn't see it happening. Sometimes love means letting someone hit bottom, even if you have to be the one who takes away their safety net. The demolition was scheduled for a Tuesday. I hadn't planned to go, but something pulled me to the lake that morning. I parked across the street, watching the construction crews set up their equipment. A tap on my window made me jump. Gareth stood there, looking worse than I'd ever seen him, unshaven, wearing the same clothes he'd had on at my house over a week ago. I rolled down the window. What are you doing here? Same as you, he said, his voice hoarse, saying goodbye. After a moment's hesitation, I got out of the car. We stood side by side, watching the crews work. Remember when Dad built that treehouse? Gareth asked suddenly. The one that fell down in that storm? You broke your arm trying to save your comic books from it. And you stayed with me in the hospital all night. He kicked at a stone. When did we stop being those people, Quinn? Around the time you started seeing me as an ATM instead of a sister. He flinched. I never. Don't. I turned to face him. Don't lie. Not here. Not now. The first crunch of machinery against wood made us both jump. The demolition had begun. Tatum's leaving me, he said quietly. I know. The kids, his voice cracked. She's filing for full custody. Says I'm unfit. Are you? He didn't answer immediately, watching as the excavator took another bite out of our childhood home. I need help, he finally whispered. Real help, not money. There's a gambling addiction program at the community center, I said. Free counseling, support groups. You've researched this? Of course I have. You're still my brother. A crash drew our attention back to the house. The entire east wall was gone now, exposing the kitchen where Mom used to make Sunday pancakes. I found a job, Gareth said. Nothing fancy. Stocking shelves at the hardware store. It's humbling. Good. That's it? Just good? What do you want me to say, Gareth? That I'm sorry? That I'll fix everything? No. He ran a hand through his unwashed hair. I want you to tell me how to start over when you've burned every bridge you ever had. You build new ones, I said simply. Better ones, stronger ones. The excavator moved to the west wing, our old bedrooms. Memories floated out with the dust. Midnight conversations through the wall, secret candy stashes, shared nightmares and dreams. I've been horrible to you, Gareth said suddenly. All these years, taking and taking. And then I called you. Those names. Said those things. Yes, you did. I don't deserve your forgiveness. No, you don't. He looked at me sharply. But that's not how forgiveness works, I continued. It's not about deserving it, it's about earning it, every day with every choice you make from now on. A loud crack echoed across the lake as the main support beam gave way. The remaining walls collapsed in a cloud of dust and splinters. I don't know how to be better, Gareth admitted. Yes, you do. You're just scared to try. And if I fail, then you fail, but you do it honestly, without dragging everyone else down with you. The dust began to settle, revealing nothing but rubble where our house had stood. Gareth wiped his eyes roughly. Will you? He cleared his throat. Will you come with me? To the community center? I studied him carefully. To sign up for the program? Yeah. Today, if possible, before I lose my nerve. The construction crew was already clearing debris, preparing the land for its new future. Sometimes, I realized, you had to completely demolish something before you could rebuild it. Okay, I said, but I'm not paying for anything. Not anymore. I know. He managed a weak smile. I brought cash for the registration fee. Earned it honestly, too. As we walked to our cars, he paused. Quinn, I really am sorry. For everything. I know. I looked back at the empty lot. But sorry isn't enough anymore. Show me you mean it. Show Tatum. Show your kids. One day at a time. One choice at a time. He nodded, understanding finally showing in his eyes. As we drove away from the lake, I watched in my rearview mirror as the last pieces of our past were loaded into dumpsters. My phone buzzed, a text from Nicole. Everything okay? No, I typed back. But maybe, someday, it will be. Sometimes the hardest part of helping someone isn't the help itself. It's knowing when to stop helping so they can finally help themselves. The autumn breeze carried the scent of coffee and fresh pastries as I sat at the outdoor cafe, watching people hurry past. Nicole slid into the chair across from me, dropping a thick envelope on the table. The final paperwork from the developer, she said. All done. The condos are officially not your problem anymore. I picked up the envelope but didn't open it. Have you driven by recently? Yesterday. The foundation's already going in. She studied my face. Having regrets? No. Just, I gestured vaguely. Memories. Speaking of memories, Nicole nodded toward the street. Incoming. Gareth approached our table, looking markedly different from the last time I'd seen him. Clean shaven, pressed shirt, clear eyes. He carried a small gift bag. Mind if I join you? I gestured to the empty chair. He sat, placing the bag in front of me. What's this? Open it. Inside was a small wooden box. I recognized the craftsmanship immediately. He'd made it in the hardware store's woodworking workshop. Open the box, he prompted. Inside was a check, not a large one, but significant. It's my first repayment, he said quietly. From my hardware store salary and the weekend moving jobs I've been taking, it's not much. Gareth, you don't have to. Yes, I do. His voice was firm. 6 months of sobriety chips don't mean anything if I don't make amends. Real ones. Nicole excused herself, giving us privacy. How's the program going? I asked, though I already knew. Carmen kept me updated through her weekly volunteer work at the community center. Hard, good, both. He stirred his coffee. Tatum brought the kids to my meeting last week, first time since everything. That's good. Yeah, we're talking about supervised visits. Maybe dinner once a week. He looked up. I'm not asking her to come back. I need to prove I can be reliable first, to them and to myself. A notification pinged on my phone. A news alert about the lake property development, Gareth noticed. Carmen sent me pictures of the construction. He said, it's strange seeing it change. Everything changes. Not everything. He pulled something from his pocket, a small worn photo. Us as kids, sitting on the lake house dock. Some things just get buried under years of bad choices. Gareth, let me finish, please. He set the photo down. I've been talking about you in my meetings, about how you enabled me by always being there with money, but also how you saved me by finally saying no. How selling the lake house was the best thing anyone's ever done for me, even though I hated you for it at the time. And now? Now I understand that rock bottom has a purpose. It shows you what's real, what matters. He pushed the photo toward me. I found this while packing up my old office. Thought you might want it. I picked up the photo, remembering that day. Mom had just taught me to fish. Dad had promised Gareth he could drive the boat next summer. Keep it, I said, sliding it back. Put it somewhere you can see it every day. Remember who we were, who we can be again. You think we can? I think we're already starting to. My phone buzzed, a text from Carmen. Gareth's 6 month sobriety celebration tonight. You coming? I showed him the message. You don't have to, he said quickly. I know things are still. What time? He blinked. 7. At the center. I'll be there. He stood, emotion flickering across his face. Quinn, I know. I managed a small smile. Me too. After he left, Nicole returned. You okay? Getting there. I picked up the wooden box, running my fingers over its careful craftsmanship. He made this himself. Small steps. Better than no steps. My phone buzzed again, Tatum this time. Taking the kids to Gareth's celebration tonight. Want to sit together? I looked at the lake house demolition notice still lying on the table. The past was gone, bulldozed into memory. But maybe that's what we all needed, clear ground to build something new. Want company tonight? Nicole asked. Actually, I said, typing a response to Tatum, I think I need to do this one with family. Because that's the thing about family. Real family. It's not about keeping score or holding grudges. It's about being there when someone's trying to rebuild, even if you're the one who had to tear everything down first. I picked up the wooden box, feeling its weight. Sometimes the heaviest things we carry aren't burdens at all. They're the first steps towards something better.